Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for health and healing. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, whole food plant-based culinary coach, and master herbalist. And I'm here with Dan, an exercise specialist and a wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing, bringing you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. We draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science with herbs and foods that help you achieve optimal health. So, Dan, one of the questions I get all the time is if I eat a vegan diet, because we always recommend our clients eat vegan. So I don't like to use the word vegan. I like to use the word whole food plant-based, but people don't really understand what whole food plant-based means. And so we usually say vegan. It's no animal products. So if I eat this way, do I really need supplements? And so I think this is a really great question. However, I have some other qualms about this one too. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, if we lived in an ideal world where the soil was really rich, and if you listen to a lot of experts are saying the soil is deficient in certain nutrients now,
Yeah.
and it's better to have fresh produce because fresh produce has the most nutrients. But you also, I like where you said vegan there. I
Yeah.
don't like to use the word vegan either
Mhm.
because I know vegans that live on processed food,
Right. French
and
fries and
so
Oreos.
yeah, there's no nutrition there. And we're also in a modern lifestyle where a lot of us are chained to a desk all day. We don't get enough sunshine to get our vitamin D.
Right.
And how many of us eat enough green vegetables every day? I'd say very few people, right?
Right. So yeah, so that's where I'm coming from too. And so when my thoughts here,
Yeah.
when people think when they examine the vegan diet. So I don't know about you. For me, when I first started eating this way, so I've been eating this way my husband since January 1st of 2017. I did before that. I just don't remember how much longer before that. Anyway, when we first started eating this way, it was all because my daughter said, and she announced I'm vegan. She was in sixth grade, I think. Anyway, we were like, wait, I had learned in the 90s that you had to have a certain amount of protein. I only had a little bit. It was like 4 ounces maybe to meet all of your essential amino acids. And I was taught that to eat vegan could be dangerous because you had to combine proteins to get all everything. And we know all that's been debunked. None of that is true anymore. But I really dug into the research. It's something I'd been studying for years and years. It's something I'd been interested in, but I really still thought maybe you still need a little bit of animal products. And so I forgot where I'm going with this. Oh. So when you tell people, "Hey, I'm eating this way," they immediately start questioning you. And maybe they're coming back from that fear too. You can't be healthy if you eat this way. But meanwhile, they're going to Krispy Kreme. They're getting their Krispy Kreme donuts, they're eating their McDonald's or their Chick-fil-A, which can you eat something? I mean, they do have salads, but not really healthy salads, right? Krispy Kreme, they have nothing healthy. And then they're eating, their pizza and other things. And so it's like, wait a minute. Why are you criticizing me because I'm eating a salad with beans while you're eating your fast food?
Exactly. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is a unique way to look at things. I think a lot of people, when they see somebody trying to eat healthy,
Mhm.
then it kind of reflects on themselves because they know they need to eat healthier than McDonald's.
Right,
And also, I
right.
want to point out that some of the supplements that vegans need to take, it's not just a vegan issue. You see, even if you
Yes,
eat meat, you can be deficient in B12 because as we get older, our bodies are less able to digest food and get the
yes.
B12, especially meat. Meat is hard for your body to break down to get the B12.
Right, right. And we clean everything. We clean everything. And, a lot of foods are, it's not are they radiated? Yeah, a lot of foods are
Yeah.
radiated. And so if they radiate your food or your meat, then you definitely are going to need to supplement with B12, even if you're eating the animal products.
And another thing is study after study are showing now that the people who eat a plant-based diet are a more of a plant-based diet are healthier. They have less risk of developing cancers, heart disease, type 2 diabetes. So it's
Right.
really an important issue because look, what you were telling me before we got on the call that they're saying that only 3% of Americans are metabolically healthy now.
Yes, yes. And so I know studies came out from North Carolina. You can Google this, anybody can Google this. It's 93% of Americans are metabolically unwell. And then the American College of Lifestyle Medicine says that only 3% of Americans are healthy. Only 3%. And so
Wow.
I know that there's not only 3% of people eating animal products.
No. I would
Right?
say at least 95%.
Yes. And the US is one of the sickest countries in the world. And they also eat more animal products than any other country in the world.
Yes,
Coincidence?
and the portions that
Yes.
Americans eat, I mean that 16-ounce steaks, 32-ounce steaks, that's just
It's horrible. That
yeah.
is horrible. That is horrible. And I grew up a meat eater. And so those of you thinking I didn't, I did. I grew up a meat eater, bacon with my breakfast, ham and turkey sandwich, or bologna. Bologna was my best friend. Hot dogs, grilled hot dogs and hamburgers. And when we had hot dogs and hamburgers, I ate both. Steak, pork chops, fried chicken. I've had all of that up until my mid 40s, right? And so the older I got, probably starting in my 30s, we would only eat meat. We still had lots of cheese. We only eat meat when we would go out to eat. Um, Sometimes when we moved, so when we moved, there's no place to go out to eat here. We would buy 1 pound of chicken and 1 pound of ground beef a week for a family of four. And so we did, definitely taper down our meat, but we still had a lot of cheese. And I drank chocolate milk by the gallons. I mean, I'd have several gallons of chocolate milk a week. And so don't think that I'm coming from a long history of eating this way because I don't. But I started learning back in the 90s, almost 30 years ago, about nutrition, and there are things that I didn't put into place, but it took me a while. I'm a slow learner, I guess. I'm here. Now, that being said, for someone who's been studying nutrition for almost 30 years, it took me a long time to realize, hey, there's too much sugar in the chocolate milk, number one. Number two, you shouldn't be drinking gallons of chocolate milk. But back then, I don't remember what it was. It was like 3 to 5 cups of milk everyone should have a day, and then so much meat and dairy for calcium, and now those things have been debunked. But I'm thinking that the American public, we were all taught this way. You have to have meat, you have to have dairy for calcium. And so we're having to unlearn. So when we are saying we're eating this way, it's like, wait, you're going against what I grew up learning and believing. And no one ever told me I needed to take B12 or vitamin D or omega-3 fatty acids, growing up, but we all do. We all need these things. We all need omega 3s, which, yes, people can get from fish, but you don't get it from your steak and your chicken and all these other foods either.
Yeah, and now some of these same organizations are coming out saying, "Hey, I think we were wrong about a lot of these foods." Now it's showing that the more plants you eat, the
Yes.
less risk of you developing a lot of our lifestyle diseases. And, well, and you're saying how many of us Americans are unhealthy. And
Right.
so it's because we are deficient in plants, I would say. We're deficient in fruits and
Fiber
vegetables.
and
Fiber,
fiber. Fiber.
huge.
Yes. Why aren't we counting fiber grams?
I don't know.
That's huge.
Oh, yeah.
And and that's another thing, going back 30 years ago when we learned about fiber, fiber was made to bulk your stool so you could poop,
Hmm.
right? And all everyone ever said, we always have to talk about poop, was you need to poop regularly, which what does that mean, right? And so now we know you need to poop after every large meal. Are you doing that? Well, when you switch from eating a heavy meat and dairy diet to eating a whole food plant-based diet, then you learn what that is. And
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
realize that you weren't pooping regularly. Maybe you were pooping regularly in quotes, but you weren't the way your body's meant to be.
And you don't have to strain anymore, I can tell you
Yeah.
that. You can, if you're eating enough fiber and drink enough water, your pooping will become much easier. And we talk about poop because you have to poop to be healthy. I mean,
Yes.
Truth.
Yes. And so this fiber isn't just made to bulk you up the way we thought that it was. It comes with, well, I don't know if you saw Dr. Greger's article this week or video. I can't remember what it was, but we talk about polyphenols and eating the rainbow on lots of our, like, that's my number two. My number one rule is always read the ingredients. Number two is eating the rainbow. And the rainbow colors are polyphenols. These are chemicals that provide all these vitamins and minerals that our body needs. And most people are not eating the rainbow, number one. But what Dr. Greger said was the studies show that when you juice, so a lot of people are juicing, I juice as well. When we juice, and that that removes the fiber, a lot of those polyphenols attach to the fiber. And so if we're only drinking juices, we're missing a lot of those polyphenols. Now there are other reasons why juices can be healthful or harmful, which can be on another podcast, but those polyphenols are attached to those fibers, and so we need to make sure we're getting all those fibers to get those chemicals. There are polyphenols outside of the fibers as well. His point was we're just losing some of those polyphenols. And so where am I going with this? If you can eat an omnivore diet or a vegan diet, whole food plant-based diet, it's got to have all those different colors. So regardless of what diet you're eating, if you're not eating all of those different colors and you're not getting all of that fiber, which fiber also feeds your microbiome, your all the little creatures that live in your gut, they feed on that fiber. They have to have that fiber to survive and to keep you healthy and to absorb your nutrients and to even help you make those nutrients. And so regardless of what type of diet you're eating, you still have to eat lots of fiber in lots of colors.
Yes, I agree. That's exactly. I mean, I'm in the belief now that even if you don't want to go 100% plant-based, you need to eat a diet that is very high in produce. And
Yes.
so, do people ask you about iron? I said, well,
Yeah.
I thought iron's only in red meat. I mean,
Dark leafy greens, and it's better absorbed if you eat it with citrus, or something high in vitamin C. So I like red bell peppers. And so if you eat some dark leafy greens, a dark leafy green salad or a green smoothie that has some kiwi in it, along with something that is high in vitamin C that's going to help you better to absorb that. And so something else, and so you may be able to add on to this. When we eat red meat for iron, we absorb a lot of that iron, but it's not necessarily a good thing. When we eat iron from plants, it's not as well absorbed depending on your body. The more iron you need, your body is miraculous. It absorbs a little more iron from the plants than someone who doesn't need as much, and it doesn't build up in the body like it does if we're eating the red meat. Do you have anything to add to that?
well, there are studies showing that heme iron can build up in the body for some people and cause more inflammation. And as opposed to the plant-based iron is more gentle in the body, it doesn't tend to build up like the heme iron. They call it heme. Is that how you pronounce it?
I say heme, but
Heme. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think you can even look that up. It's like heme iron. I know some people, and this is a medical condition where you build up iron in the body, and they have to give blood every so often because,
Hemochromatosis.
yeah. And so really
Yeah.
those people probably better off with more plant-based sources of iron.
Right. Right. Not eating the animal products.
And I've heard people say that, they went vegan and they became anemic. And what I would say to that is you're probably not eating enough vegetables like green. I'm talking collards,
Hmm.
kale,
Yes.
spinach, broccoli. You have to eat these things. I don't care if
Yes.
you eat meat or not.
Right. Greens at every meal. I like greens at every meal and the rainbow at every meal. And not the candy rainbow. Right.
But really, that's why when I hear these things, it's just most people don't design a diet. They just eat whatever is put in front of them. But when you are really considering, I want to be healthy, then
Hmm.
you really need to examine the foods you're eating. You have to put it together. It needs to be, there's an art to it. I need to get the colors like you're saying. You have to plan for that. Like I know you plan on
Hmm.
Sundays. You get your food and you start to make your food on Sundays to make
Hmm.
sure you're getting what you need throughout the week. And that's a very important thing because if you
Right.
don't do that,
Mhm.
you're going to be missing out on a lot of these foods.
And to add to that, it's not because I'm whole food plant-based. It does not matter what diet you eat. You need to make sure, no matter what diet you eat, you've got to make sure you're eating these plants and
Yeah.
the fiber. And it doesn't have to be prepping all day on Sunday, which I used to do. I do still do some on Sunday, but I've gotten better at prepping at each every time I make dinner. So I do plan to cook dinner most nights. Some nights I do have late nights. I see some clients late and I teach some classes that are kind of late. So those days I don't have time to cook. And so the days that I do have time to cook dinner, then I cook extra or I chop extra. You know, I'm cutting up onions and carrots and bell peppers for tonight's dinner. Then I'm going to cut onions and bell peppers and carrots for a couple other nights as well. I'm going to make sure I have leftovers for dinner tonight to eat for lunch tomorrow. And I always, every night, make my breakfast before the next day so that when I wake up, breakfast is already ready. And so that's something you can just do each day on the days you have available. So like if I'm working late Tuesday and Thursday, then I'm gonna just do it extra Monday night and extra Wednesday night, and that's gonna cover the next 2 days. And so I don't have to spend all day in the kitchen. And like you said, I do plan my grocery list. I do make sure that when I don't do the grocery shopping, my husband does, but you can even order online. Make sure that all the things that you're putting in your cart are adding more colors to your dishes. You've got to buy them at the farmer's market, the produce section, whatever, or even the freezer section, looking for all those different colors. You've got to bring them home and then you can add them to your dishes.
I've also had clients throughout the years that will hear, okay, you got to plan, you got to buy groceries. And they'll say, oh, I'm just so busy.
Hmm.
So I also teach people how to eat out.
Yes.
I don't think you should do it all the time, but I say go to the Asian places, your Asian, Chinese, they always have vegetables. They always have broccoli, carrots, all these things.
Hmm.
So I really push people more toward Asian food when they're out, but you know, I mean, you can even go to Wendy's and get a baked potato. I don't recommend that, but I try to meet people where they're
Right. You're
at.
on the
You
road.
get a
Sometimes your
salad.
only choice. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Chipotle, places like Chipotle are a godsend. So,
Right. Yeah. If you're on the road. Yeah. If you can find a bowl place, even better.
yeah.
Right.
Because some people won't even try if they think at first they have to do all this at home.
Right.
So
Right.
I try to teach them some of those best places to eat out, and then eventually maybe they start to catch on to how, I can save money if I start buying groceries and eating at home because eating out is expensive, which is also prohibitive. So
Right. Right.
I don't want to leave anybody out. So we start where
Yes.
where they're at. So, but I mean, I have Chinese at least once a week because there's a place by me, broccoli, carrots, snow peas, a little bit of tofu. So
Hmm.
and
Sounds
it's
amazing.
yeah, it's steamed. I always get it steamed though.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to point out that so supplements are to supplement. And so also regardless of diet, we that has to be in addition to doing all of the other things. So making sure you're eating the real whole foods, the foods that don't even come with labels, those real whole foods. And then I don't want to say that no one needs supplements. Some people do need supplements. Get blood work and see if you need supplements. If you have a chronic illness, you have leaky gut, which my main audience is autoimmune thyroid. If you have active antibodies, you have inflammation, most likely you have a leaky gut. We need to work on ways to make sure you're getting minerals and vitamins regardless of your diet. And so those times there are food ways we can use food to increase vitamins and minerals, but sometimes we need to add supplements too. And so there is a place for supplements, but most people I'm talking to are over supplementing. And so not only are you taking in things that your body doesn't need, your liver has to process that. And in the medical world, we don't talk about the liver. The liver is, you never hear about the liver. And you say I need to do a detox or clean the liver, and doctors are like, no, your liver does that for you. Well, the liver did that for us before we had all these man-made chemicals. When you're thinking about taking a supplement, if you're taking a tablet What was used to glue that tablet together? What gums and fillers are in there? If you're using a capsule, what is that capsule made of? And is your body even able to break that down? And how does your body handle that? And so we have to think about all those things as well. And supplements are man-made where it's much better to get it from your food. Get it from food first, but there is a place for some supplements, but you've got to do your research. And my number one rule is read the ingredients, no matter if it's food or supplements.
I totally agree. There's some people that take so many pills and they think it's helping them, but a lot of times they're just making an expensive year. And so they say a lot of
Yeah.
these things are really expensive. But
Mhm.
I mean, for the plant, if you're 100% plant-based, to me, if you're getting at least 15 minutes of sun every day,
Mhm.
the only thing I really take is B12, and I try to get everything else from food. Iodine. I mean, I take Dr. Christopher's. Was it vital herbs that has seaweeds in there? You can also
Mhm.
there's seaweed snacks on the market. There's salt with iodine, and some things are fortified now, I think.
Yeah, yeah, if you can look for whole food sources, like Maine Coast Foods has a sea salt that has ground up sea vegetables in it. So it looks like salt and pepper, but it's actually has the sea vegetables, which sea vegetables are high in iodine. And the
Yeah.
only way non-vegans, I'm using the vegan word, they get iodine is if they have dairy, because dairy, the animals are sprayed with iodine to clean them. And so it's not even a natural, that's a supplement. And so they're being
Wow.
supplemented where we can get it from sea vegetables.
I'm glad you brought that up because even the meat that they eat, those animals, the reason they have B12 because they get B12 supplements too. So you're
Yeah,
eating a cow just to get their supplement B12. So why wouldn't you just take a tablet and skip the cow?
right, right. And like you said, so everyone age 50 and older, it could even be lower now. Everyone, regardless of diet, is recommended to take B12. Now, medical disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a certified nutritionist. I'm not telling you to take B12. This is for educational purposes only. So do your own due diligence and research B12 to see if it's right for you and what forms are right for you as well.
And you get a blood test if you really want to know what your levels
Yeah.
are. So,
Yeah, I get so I do annual blood work. I know at the School of Natural Healing we did not talk about blood work. They don't like blood work or puncturing the skin, but I do annual blood work and to look at my vitamin D, to look at magnesium, and to look at B12, and even to look at my omega 3s.
yeah.
Yes. So do
So,
you have
yeah.
anything else to add before we wrap up this episode?
Well, I hope we just got the point across that if you're eating a diet that is nutrient dense, that you don't have to take a lot of pills. So there's some people out there telling you if you're a vegan, you need to take all these things. It's not necessarily true if you're eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, and if you're not a processed food vegan. So,
Right, right. Eat the rainbow, greens at every meal, rainbow at every meal. Which and make it a game. Like my kids used to love to do that. We'd sit down to eat, and you don't have to just immediately fix it. Just start being aware of your dishes. My kids would look at their plate and go, "Oh, we're missing red or missing yellow." It's so much fun with kids. And my grown kids now, they still will say, "Mom, this dinner doesn't have any yellow or something." And so you just make it a game, be aware of it, and the more aware of it, the better you get at adding the different colors. So, thank you for joining us on Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. We hope this conversation gave you clarity on whether supplements are necessary for a quote unquote vegan diet. Remember, real healing comes from nourishing your body with plants first and using targeted support as needed. To work with Dan, you can go to danthenaturalman.com, or you can find me at Holistic Jen, that's with a W, WHOLISTIC, jen.com. And so thank you for joining us. Please like, subscribe to our channel, comment because we love to hear from you, and let us know what else you would like to hear from us. So thanks for joining.